I'm Leah from Eva Walks. We have a brand new single coming out called Back Where You Belong. It is launching this Friday, September 16th, and I hope you guys absolutely love it.
Beautiful, Leah. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, no worries. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm super stoked. Thank you for inviting me to interview.
No worries at all. So, as you mentioned, Eva Walks will be releasing a new single, Back Where You Belong, this Friday, September 16th. So, tell us a bit about the track from a musical point of view and what you were going for with it.
So, this song actually I wrote quite a while ago. I've been really excited to release it. I co-wrote it with Brian Howes, who he's a Canadian producer. We worked with him on our first album, and at the time I was in my first 90 days of sobriety, and I was like very angry, and I was going through a lot of emotions and just figuring out like what to do with them. So I was really feeling like this raw, aggressive kind of kind of skins too small feeling. And when I was working with Brian, I was, really pissed off about a few things, and he came up with this riff that was almost a bit Megadeth-y. I was like, that's sick. Maybe we could do something with that. And I really wanted it to be heavy, but not like ultra slick heavy. Like I wanted it to have a little bit of that old school kind of like, you can tell it's a real guitar being played, and you can tell they're real amps, and that kind of thing, rather than the heavy kind of, you can tell it's been like smoothed over, which is still a sick sound. It's just at the time wasn't what I was going for.
Mm-hmm. And you've gone with a basic but still effective lyric video for the song. Is there a reason why you didn't go a bit more elaborate?
I kind of wanted to just keep it simple with the lyric video. I feel that it's such kind of like a smash you in the face song. I didn't feel like it needed to be going too far, and I wanted to kind of save it if we do decide to do a music video later down the track. I wanted to kind of keep the money for that one as well.
Yeah, fair call. You sort of touched on this in the intro, but what story does the song actually tell lyrically?
So, obviously, like, as it's matured and as I've gotten further through, I'm sitting on over 3 years now for sobriety. Like I kind of like, it's a breakup song. It's a breakup song, and it's a very angry one. But I kind of like to look at it more these days as being like, it doesn't have to be a person. It could be like a vice. It could be like an issue, and it's taking that part that's like, been attached to you and been pretty much just trying to like, the toxic part of you, and sending it like back to where it belongs, like getting rid of it, kind of like violently pulling it out, because it's like, talking to it won't work, being nice to it won't work. Like you just have to get that fucking thing out and away.
I understand that completely. And is it a standalone song, or is it part of a bigger picture?
So it is part of a two-part that I did with Brian. I am hoping to get back into the studio with him to finish it. We did this at the end of 2019 with plans to do a whole album, but obviously the pandemic hit, and he actually went back from LA to Canada. So it's been a little bit hard, and now he's obviously just trying to figure out the time to go back. But there is another song that does pair up with this one, and the dream was to do the full album, but we just have to get that scheduling happening now. He's back in Canada.
Yeah, and I've seen you've been called the Queen of Rock and Roll. So how does that title sit with you? It's a pretty big call.
Look, honestly, it's so nice that they say that, but I'm pretty sure Joan Jett might have something to say about that. And if she doesn't, I'm sure maybe Lizzie Hale might.
Still a pretty big compliment.
It's a huge compliment, and it makes me feel very special. And on the days that it's like, damn, like this is hard, I see like the notes like that, and I'm like, that's so nice. It's really lovely. I don't believe it, because obviously, like as mentioned, but it's kick-ass to get feedback like that, because it means someone likes what I'm doing.
Yeah. And you're an Australian artist living overseas, fronting an overseas band. So how did that happen?
Yeah, so that's funny. So in Australia, I was in a band called Lily Rouge when I was younger, and that band kind of like went around. We did Big Day Out. We supported like Everclear. We did a few Australian tours, and then at the end of 2013, I just got this random email. My mum was acting as manager at the time because I was like 20 or something. I was young, and she's like rang me at work. Luckily, I worked for my uncle, so it was fine. But I was like, "Why are you ringing me at work?" She's like, we just got an email from someone in the US who wants you to come over and like showcase." I'm like, "Whatever, okay, fair, okay," because you know you get those joke
Yeah, you get
emails
it
all
all
the
the
time.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, but then we looked into it, and it was actually a company called A&R Worldwide, and they were like, "Hey, we'd love you to come to LA in January to showcase in March." So we got there, and at the time I was kind of like humming and hawing on the old band, just because it didn't really feel like where I was at, just musically and just kind of like thematically. So decided to kind of move into something a bit heavier and a bit rawer, and that's kind of where Evil Walks came in. And then yeah, I went there in January. Like 3 weeks later, I sold my car. My uncle lent me some money. I went to LA 1st of January 2014, and then all of a sudden it's, 2022. I have a green card. I live there, and it kind of just all happened. That's kind of, it's my home now.
Fantastic. And you started Eva Walks back in 2014. So what was your early vision for the band and how has it changed since?
The early vision was definitely like female fronted AC/DC. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to be. Bon Scott is like, I remember hearing Powerage for the first time when I was like 11. Like I'd heard AC/DC before that. I'd heard like Thunderstruck. I'd heard Back in Black. But I remember just hearing, I'd never heard the older stuff. And I remember hearing Powerage, and it was a transformative experience. I was like, what is this? This person, this is amazing. And it's just the vocal charisma that he had, the swagger, just everything. I just wanted to kind of do that with a female version, just that like no holds barred, like fuck you, this is rock and roll kind of thing. I was 22. I was like, I think we wrote a song like about sitting in the gutter drinking sacks of wine, like, just that dirty rock and roll thing that all the boys do. And then, yeah, just as I kind of matured and got older, it kind of became like a little heavier, a little darker, a little bit more melodic. And I definitely think it's kind of evolved from just like fun rock and roll party songs to, sometimes we play those, but sometimes we have things like with a bit more depth. And I think it's just kind of evolved as I've evolved as well as a songwriter and, experiencing things as a older person, or like older woman rather than like a teenager.
Yeah. And then you also had to relocate to Sweden during COVID as well. So was that website for the fresh air or was it for work or
That was also for music.
music?
So my our management, Blue Lemon Management, are a Swedish label. And they brought me over to Sweden in October 2020 to work on new material for the band, do a bunch of co-writing, get everything ready. And we were actually planning to like try and get to Canada to work with Brian, who obviously we did this song with. But I ended up getting landlocked in Sweden until like July 2021. But I worked with a killer producer here called Chris Weatherström. I can't say his name properly. I'm so sorry, Chris. But yeah, so we've actually done my last two singles were actually with Chris. So yeah, we've got a heap of material coming out. Like I think we're just going to release it as singles until we kind of get to where we want to be. But yeah, there's so much coming.
Good to hear. All right, Leah. Well, thanks very much for your time today. The single "Back Where You Belong" is out this Friday, and she's a pretty good song, mate. So congratulations, and hopefully things keep going up and up for you. It sounds good.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much, Chris.
My absolute pleasure. Best of luck with everything in the future.